seems to have dimensions and mysteries that have yet to be explained.
For over 500 years, Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper has captivated millions with its iconic imagery. But what if, beneath that familiar surface, a secret world has been hiding in plain sight? Complex, coded messages that challenge everything we thought we knew about this masterpiece.
There are a lot of theories that Leonardo has secret symbols and secret messages in his paintings. Everything he's doing, he's rethinking even traditional subjects from the very beginning and really imagining them in new and creative ways.
What if the painting isn't just art, but a cryptic manifesto encrypted using mathematics and hidden handwriting? In the modern age, AI finally breaks the code, revealing a philosophical rebellion woven deep into the mural.
But the real secret, the things that tell us a lot of things about Leonardo da Vinci, is not what it is inside, but what it is missing. You know what it is missing. If you get closer, we'll notify there is no helos.
This discovery doesn't just rewrite art history. It shifts the boundaries between faith, reason, and the power of hidden knowledge itself, the unseen layers beneath the surface. Leonardo da Vinci's choice of technique for the Last Supper was radical and baffling to his contemporaries. Instead of applying pigment directly onto wet plaster, the standard fresco method that binds paint firmly to walls, he mixed oil and tempera paint and applied it onto dry plaster. This experiment created vivid colors and finer details unlike any other murals of his time. However, it also caused the paint to deteriorate rapidly. Within mere decades, much of the surface had begun to flake and peel away, leading art historians to dismiss it as one of Leonardo's rare failures. But this apparent failure had an unintended upside. Because the paint sat atop dry plaster in multiple layers, it formed not a single unified image, but a complex stack of physical layers. Each layer conceals different elements, including markings that would be completely invisible to the naked eye, or even to most scientific tools, until modern advancements. Imagine a message written in plaster itself, then swallowed beneath layers of paint applied decades or centuries ago. Such a hidden code would evade anyone casually glancing or even experts combing the painting with conventional techniques. For centuries, no one suspected that something so extraordinary could exist beneath the surface of the mural. Monks who dined below it, soldiers who occupied the site, and even expert restorers failed to detect any cryptic inscriptions. The tools, until recent decades, X-rays, infrared scans, revealed preliminary underdrawings and corrections, but nothing resembling encoded text. The resistance to even the rare attempts at analysis was partly due to the fragile state of the mural and the prevailing belief that Leonardo's flaw had doomed the work's longevity. The logic behind this layered construction suggests intention, whether planned or accidental. If an artist wanted to hide sensitive information from prying eyes, but ensure it survived for future discovery, embedding a message beneath layers of stable but obscure materials would be ideal. The surface would look innocent, simply a religious scene, but beneath, a secret could whole quietly endure. Considering the climate of fear around dissent and censorship during the Renaissance, this method would be a perfect strategy for concealing provocative ideas. These coated layers make that message difficult to see, and they protect it not just from time, but from the curiosity and skepticism of centuries. The painting was a wall, a barrier, and a vault all at once. Attempts to scrape or analyze the surface risked destroying the delicate paint and the potential secrets beneath it. It took advances beyond traditional art conservation, an evolution in imaging combined with artificial intelligence, to finally unlock that cryptic content. What this meant for experts like Dr. Rossi and her team was daunting. They had vast archives of hyperspectral scans capturing the mural down to microscopic details, but no one had yet devised a way to make sense of the data hidden in the noise. The challenge was to separate intentional markings from natural decay. The patterns of aging plaster, dust, and chemical processes had left their unpredictable signatures across the wall. Distinguishing signal from noise required a tool as precise and patient as Leonardo's own genius. This is where the story takes a turn from the familiar. Instead of unveiling the narrative through classical art history approaches, It was modern neural networks trained specifically on Leonardo's handwriting and coding techniques that identified patterns human eyes had missed. A faint cluster of marks in the shadow of Jesus, once dismissed over and over, suddenly gained meaning. The painting changed from a static image into a dynamic text, a conversation across centuries waiting for a future mind. What was hidden beneath the paint wasn't just a random scrawl or accidental brushstroke. It was the deliberate work of an artist who understood the power of layering, both artistic and intellectual. The secret, as compelling as the surface masterpiece itself, hinted at something far more complex than a devotional image. It was an encrypted challenge, waiting for us to discover not only what Leonardo painted, but what he truly thought. Beneath the colorful surface, the Last Supper became a silent codebook. But understanding Leonardo's secret required a deeper look into who he was, his mind, his habits, and his lifelong obsession with secrecy and knowledge hiding in plain sight. From the hidden physical layers to the invisible mental ones brings us to a man unlike any other artist of his time. Leonardo's secretive mindset. Leonardo da Vinci was famously secretive, and his personal notebooks reveal why. Thousands of pages survive, written mostly in mirror script, backwards handwriting that can only be read clearly when reflected in a mirror. This wasn't just a quirk of a left-handed man trying to avoid smudging ink. These notebooks also contain invented shorthand, complex abbreviations, and cryptic geometric drawings. Scholars have spent centuries trying to decode these layers of meaning, and many believe Leonardo deliberately obscured his ideas to keep them secure. This puzzle of secrecy reflects a deeper truth about Leonardo's mindset. He lived in a world where knowledge itself could be dangerous. The church scrutinized and controlled scholarship, especially anything challenging religious doctrine. Radical thinkers risked persecution or even death. In such a climate, openly expressing revolutionary ideas required caution. Leonardo's notebooks were not just records. They were vaults, hiding scientific, philosophical, and artistic breakthroughs from unauthorized eyes. His mirror writing and codes acted like a lock on doors few could open. He buried his ingenuity behind layers of protection because he knew what revealing the truth too soon could mean. His contemporaries viewed him as eccentric, mysterious even, partly because much of his work was incomprehensible without the keys he deliberately withheld. This wasn't a man eager for applause. It was someone safeguarding knowledge from a world unready to accept it. This secrecy extended beyond mere precaution. It was a form of silent protest against dogma. Leonardo's insatiable curiosity and empirical questioning put him at odds with widely accepted beliefs. His investigations into anatomy, physics, and astronomy pushed dangerous boundaries. Yet, rather than clashing directly with institutions, he chose subtlety, coding his dissent in scripts and symbols, hoping the right future eyes would decipher his message. His notebooks also indicate a fascination with mathematics and geometry, which found their way into his art in ways many missed. They weren't simply decorative tricks, but carriers of hidden meaning. Mirroring his scripts, these mathematical codes could serve as linguistic puzzles, embedding knowledge safe from immediate discovery. His work was layered, multifaceted, and resistant to superficial reading. This mentality, that true knowledge must be hidden until the time is right, was not unique to Leonardo, but represented a tradition of encoded wisdom dating back to ancient Egyptian and early Christian mysteries. Leonardo stood in a long line of guardians of secret knowledge, communicating through art, text, and symbols crafted to protect and provoke simultaneously. His art was less about public proclamation and more about private dialogue with the future. Understanding Leonardo's secretive mind helps us see the Last Supper not merely as a biblical scene, but as a canvas cloaked in mystery. The artist's own handwriting and intellectual ciphering raise an urgent question. Might the painting itself contain hidden codes, waiting centuries to be revealed by the right key? This leads directly into the climate of fear and control Leonardo faced, a world hostile to unorthodox ideas that shaped why such secrecy was necessary and how it influenced his art in ways we still barely comprehend. The era of censorship and danger. Leonardo da Vinci lived in an era when the Catholic Church held near absolute authority over thought and knowledge, fiercely policing ideas that challenged scripture or doctrine. Independent inquiry was not just discouraged, it was dangerous. Thinkers who dared to question orthodoxy faced severe consequences. Galileo, for example, would later be placed under house arrest for asserting the Earth moved around the sun. Giordano Bruno was burned alive for similar heresies. Against this backdrop, Leonardo's cautious approach makes a grim kind of sense. Any explicit criticism or unconventional ideas risked censorship, ostracism, or worse. The Church's role extended beyond spiritual guidance into controlling what counted as truth in every corner of knowledge. Artists, philosophers, and scientists had to navigate this intellectual minefield carefully. Leonardo's reputation as an eccentric genius with an unconventional lifestyle already brought suspicion, so openly challenging dogma would have been reckless. His art, commissioned by religious patrons, was expected to reinforce faith and orthodoxy. To embed dissenting ideas openly could terminate his career or his life. But Leonardo's mind could not be constrained entirely by these limits. Instead, he developed a strategy of hiding messages within his work, allowing him to fulfill his commissions while simultaneously expressing skepticism and exploration beneath the surface. This secret language wasn't just about surviving censorship, it was a rebellion in silence. It prized reason and inquiry as parallel to faith, not opposed to it. Leonardo understood that the moment faith was scrutinized under the light of man, it might reveal human flaws and constructs behind divine facades. Expressing such thoughts required protection against a society intolerant of doubt. This repressed intellectual climate shaped how Renaissance art developed. The Last Supper, painted in 1495 to 1498, was public, religious, and never meant to spark controversy, at least on the surface. But hidden beneath might lie that silent challenge to authority and tradition, a coded manifesto that only a much later, more fearless audience could decode. Leonardo's world was one of shadows, both literal and metaphorical. The state and church vigilantly monitored expressions of knowledge. In this setting, art was both a shield and a whisper, a way to communicate dangerous ideas safely disguised as devotion. It is striking, then, that it would take centuries and the aid of artificial intelligence to finally listen to those whispers. This climate of fear and encoded resistance offers critical insight into why Leonardo's hidden messages, if confirmed, would be so revolutionary. They don't just alter our reading of the Last Supper, they rewrite a chapter of how knowledge survived and evolved through suppression and stratagem. Even more striking is how this silent rebellion anticipated ideas that would only openly flourish during the Enlightenment, centuries after Leonardo's death. The consequence is nothing less than a profound shift in how we see the Renaissance and its secrets. From this shadowed past emerges the startling role AI now plays in revealing what human eyes could not, ushering us into an entirely new era of discovery and understanding. AI meets Renaissance art. For centuries, the Last Supper has been examined with extraordinary care using every scientific tool available. Between 1978 and 1999, a painstaking restoration project led by Pinin Brambilla Barcelon used infrared reflectography and X-ray analysis to peel back centuries of grime and uncover Leonardo's underdrawings and compositional changes. These scans revealed details invisible to the naked eye, but still stayed limited to surface alterations and brush strokes. The deeper secrets hidden beneath layers of deteriorated paint and plaster remained elusive. In 2007, a remarkable digitization captured the mural at 16 billion pixels, offering a resolution so detailed Leonardo himself could never have imagined it. This hyperspectral scanning also recorded wavelengths beyond visible light, containing enormous unexplored data about the composition beneath the pigments. Yet, despite having this treasure trove sitting in archives, the challenge was how to interpret such vast, complex information. That's where modern artificial intelligence entered the scene. Researchers at labs like Dr. Rossi's were pioneering a new approach, applying neural networks trained specifically on Leonardo's mirror script and the coded shorthand from his notebooks to the hyperspectral data. Their goal was not to invent new imaging, but to bring fresh eyes, machine intelligence capable of distinguishing meaningful intentional markings from the random noise caused by centuries of plaster degradation. This was the missing piece until that point. It took 19 days of feeding the system hyperspectral data before the AI detected anything unusual. At first, the output was cluttered with what looked like just damage, cracks, or mineral deposits. Rossi's team worked tirelessly, fueled by coffee and persistence, despite skepticism about whether this approach would yield anything at all. What they found on day 19 would alter the understanding of this masterpiece forever. In a shadowed section behind Jesus, the AI flagged a cluster of faint markings. At first, the probability that these were intentional script, rather than natural deterioration, was only 67%, far from conclusive, but compelling enough to ignite debate. Rossi reached out to Marco Ferretti, a senior imaging expert, who insisted it was just efflorescence, mineral deposits leaching through the plaster. Their disagreement exposed the tension between belief and evidence in uncovering ancient secrets. Rossi presented side-by-side comparisons of the flagged markings with samples of Leonardo's handwriting from the Codex Arundel. The curved forms and consistent spacing hinted at something more than random mineral patterns. Ferretti held firmly to his skepticism, arguing it was confirmation bias, but a rift had opened. Half the team thought they were chasing ghosts. The other half suspected they were glimpsing a profound revelation. By the early hours, Rossi worked alone, manually testing scans from other parts of the mural. Slowly, confidence scores began rising, from unclear noise to distinct letter forms. The AI was not just detecting marks, it was recognizing reversed characters consistent with Leonardo's mirror writing, cross-referencing them against known samples. Words started to materialize from the visual chaos: shadow, truth, betrayal. What was emerging was no mere accident of decay, but a hidden text woven discreetly into the layers beneath the image. This transformed the Last Supper from a static painting into a living document, a coded message from the Renaissance, revealed only with the aid of 21st century technology. The question became not whether the text was there, but what it meant. The breakthrough showed that modern AI, paired with historic data and precise imaging, could crack ancient secrets that human hands and eyes had missed for centuries. This convergence of art and technology opened a new dimension in understanding Leonardo, not just as a painter, but as a philosopher and secret communicator. The key to his message lay beneath paint, waiting for a mind not yet born. From how AI unlocked the unseen layers, we now uncover what these hidden messages actually say, and why they challenge everything we thought we knew about the Last Supper. Decoding the hidden messages. As the AI processed more of the mural, a pattern emerged beyond scattered words. Connected phrases began appearing, revealing a deeply philosophical narrative. These inscriptions appeared not randomly, but in specific darkened areas, shadowed zones where restorers rarely touched, and where human eyes seldom lingered. The script followed Leonardo's mirror writing style and archaic Florentine dialect, tying the cryptic phrases to his personal code. One of the first fully coherent messages surfaced behind Jesus. Translated, it reads, "All faith fades when light reveals the hand of man." This statement is a seismic shift from conventional religious devotion. It suggests that faith, often seen as divine and unquestionable, could dissolve when examined under reason and scrutiny, when illuminated by the light of man. Somehow, Leonardo used the very wall of a church to inscribe a subtle critique of institutional belief. Other messages appeared beside various disciples, each phrase tied thematically to their biblical identities, but reframed through reason and skepticism rather than blind faith. Near Judas Iscariot, the AI here revealed, "He who eats with truth will not betray himself." Beneath Peter, a phrase warned, "Strength without understanding is blind." Close to Thomas, famed for his doubt, the message read, "To question is not sin, but the path to clarity." These inscriptions invite viewers to embrace critical thought, to reflect on truth alongside belief. Far from attacking religion, these words read more like challenges, an intellectual framework embedded in the composition, inviting contemplation rather than condemnation. Leonardo was encoding a worldview where human inquiry held equal footing with religious revelation. His painting became a medium not only of devotion, but also of coded philosophy, blending art and thought into a secret dialogue. This discovery stunned the researchers. The messages anticipated Enlightenment ideals by 2.5 centuries. Voltaire, Diderot, Rousseau, and Kant would later champion freedom of thought and reason over dogma. Yet here was Leonardo, quietly embedding these very principles into a public religious commission, a silent prophetic voice from a different century. The philosophical weight of these phrases unsettled the room. This was evidence that Leonardo was not just an artist ahead of his time, but a covert philosopher whose art concealed a manifesto on faith, reason, and skepticism. His messages do not reject spirituality, but demand that faith survive the rigor of reason. They reframe the Last Supper as both an act of artistic devotion and a brave intellectual rebellion. The cumulative text followed a structured pattern on the wall, not scattered, but spiraling out from Jesus' right hand across each disciple in sequence. The spatial arrangement aligned with the golden ratio, the mathematical principle Leonardo so famously revered. The hidden text wasn't decoration or accident, it was architectural, deliberately woven into the geometry of the painting. Understanding these messages changes how we interpret the mural's purpose. It ceases to be a mere depiction of biblical narrative and becomes a complex, coded argument about truth, authority, and the power of inquiry. Leonardo used symbols, mathematics, and language within paint layers to quietly confront the very institutions commissioning his work. This silent manifesto, buried beneath centuries of dust and theology, now emerges as a conversation across time. A time capsule Leonardo expected only a future mind with advanced technology could open. What this means for art, faith, and history is immense, promising to reshape how we see one of humanity's most iconic masterpieces, the geometry of secrets. The revelations hidden beneath the Last Supper reveal more than just words. They expose a design meticulously intertwined with Leonardo's lifelong obsession with mathematics and proportion. The AI detected that the hidden text is arranged not randomly, but following a spiral path that originates at Jesus' right hand and sweeps outward, connecting each disciple in sequence. This spiral closely aligns with the golden ratio, a mathematical principle that Leonardo famously incorporated into many of his works to achieve harmony and aesthetic perfection. The golden ratio, approximately 1.618, is often called the divine proportion for its presence in nature, architecture, and art. Leonardo's use of this ratio is well documented in his sketches and paintings, but the discovery that the hidden inscriptions in The Last Supper follow this exact pattern adds a new layer of meaning. It implies the text is not a mere byproduct or decoration, but an integral part of the painting's structural composition, words and geometry fused as one. This carefully engineered layout suggests that Leonardo was encoding a message that could only be fully understood when read in the precise sequence dictated by the spiral. The letters and phrases connect like a thread weaving through the disciples' figures, making the painting itself a complex geometric puzzle. This reveals a deliberate act of hiding knowledge in plain sight, layered within the art's mathematical foundation. The precision required to place the inscriptions following these proportions reflects Leonardo's mastery not only as an artist, but as a mathematician and thinker. It also hints at a philosophical conviction that truth and beauty are inseparable, and that understanding one leads to insight into the other. For Leonardo, art was a language of codes, and geometry was its syntax. The spiral pattern elegantly balances secrecy with endurance. If the message were scattered without order, it might never coalesce. By embedding text in this natural and harmonious form, Leonardo ensured the secret was protected by both visual mystique and mathematical order. This blend of art and science exemplifies his visionary genius, an artist who used every tool available to embed layers of significance. Moreover, the choice to begin the spiral at Jesus' right hand, an iconic focal point in the painting, connects the philosophical content of the text directly to the central figure, anchoring the hidden discourse in the heart of the scene. This positional strategy redefines the painting from a simple religious depiction into a codified manuscript where geometry guides meaning. The intertwining of sacred imagery with encrypted text, structured by universal mathematical laws, transforms the Last Supper from a religious icon into a document of inquiry and skepticism. Leonardo wasn't simply illustrating a biblical narrative. He was clandestinely inviting viewers to not only see, but think, question, and reason. This revelation forces us to consider the possibility that other Renaissance works might also contain such encrypted layers, awaiting the convergence of art history, mathematics, and technology to reveal their secrets. Leonardo's fusion of poetry, math, and encoded philosophy sets a precedent for interpreting masterpieces not only as visual expressions, but as intellectual architectures. As the spiral unfolds, so too does the bold defiance embedded in the painting, creating an intellectual shockwave that challenges centuries of unquestioned interpretation. The geometry is not decoration. It is the backbone of a hidden manifesto. The resonance of this discovery moves beyond art into culture, faith, and history, urging us toward the human impulse to question and seek deeper truths, a pursuit Leonardo protected with numbers and brushstrokes alike. The impact of this revelation quickly ignited more than academic curiosity. It unleashed a cultural storm, the cultural earthquake. When news of hidden codes beneath the Last Supper emerged, reactions spread rapidly worldwide. Renaissance historian James Whitfield appeared on the BBC, calling it the most important reinterpretation of a major artwork since X-ray scans revealed concealed paintings beneath Picasso's works. He argued that the spiral structures and golden ratio alignments made accidental deterioration highly unlikely, strengthening claims that the markings were intentional. The Vatican responded cautiously. In a carefully phrased statement, officials praised the technological achievement while warning against conclusions that could distort the painting's spiritual significance. Behind the scenes, reports suggested church historians and senior cardinals viewed the findings as a challenge to long-standing narratives surrounding Renaissance patronage and religious authority. Public reaction quickly became divided. At Santa Maria delle Grazie, hundreds gathered demanding either full release of the scans or protection of the mural's sanctity. Similar protests erupted at Uffizi Gallery, where police intervened after demonstrators blocked entrances. Images of officers standing beside priceless masterpieces spread widely online, intensifying the controversy. In Rome, theology students organized a candlelit vigil promoting dialogue instead of conflict, reflecting how deeply the discovery resonated beyond academic circles. Online debate exploded as #DaVinciCoded trended globally for days, attracting conspiracy theories, atheist interpretations, and passionate religious defenses. Amateur translations flooded art forums, mixing genuine fascination with widespread misinformation. What began as specialized scholarship evolved into a global debate about the relationship between faith, science, and technology. Even skeptics within the research team changed positions as evidence mounted. Redi, once the project's strongest critic, became one of its most vocal defenders. In interviews, he argued that the findings did not weaken faith but reflected Leonardo's belief that truth and belief could coexist, and that authority should never silence inquiry. When researchers released scans, AI confidence scores, and translations, peer reviews from institutions including MIT, University of Amsterdam, and Kyoto University confirmed the markings differed significantly from natural deterioration. The debate then shifted from whether the hidden text existed to what it truly meant for history, religion, and knowledge itself. From these tremors of reaction, a broader question emerged, one that hinted at even more profound mysteries elsewhere in the art world. What this means for history. The hidden mathematical codes and philosophical messages which exist beneath the Last Supper create a new understanding of both the painting and the intellectual culture of the Renaissance. The hidden manifesto, which Leonardo da Vinci embedded into his religious artwork, makes people view Renaissance art through a new lens, which goes beyond its traditional role as sacred and decorative art. The painting becomes a layered document, part sacred commission, part encrypted statement. The findings also redefine Leonardo himself. He goes beyond his roles as painter and inventor to work as a philosopher who uses his art to transmit his ideas through secret channels that last across different time periods. His coded messages of this interpretation introduced Enlightenment ideals, which emerged later through their promotion of inquiry and skepticism and independent thought, before such ideas reached safe expression in public. The study presents major consequences for art historians. The Last Supper contains complex coding, which establishes that all Leonardo works contain similar secret structures. The artworks, Mona Lisa, The Virgin of the Rocks, and Adoration of the Magi, require new research through hyperspectral imaging and AI pattern analysis. The study of Renaissance masterpieces requires scholars to develop new methods for their research and interpretation. Religious scholarship remains completely transformed. The Last Supper stands as one of Christianity's most renowned images, which possesses profound spiritual value. The discovery of institutional authority critiques which exist within its hidden elements makes the artwork's meaning more complex while maintaining its power to uphold faith. The artwork establishes a conversation between belief and reason which connects to the historical development of religious beliefs. The discovery also raises broader questions about the Renaissance. The encoded messages suggest that hidden intellectual resistance may have existed beneath the outward conformity of the period. Art may have served not only as expression, but also as a discrete medium for dissent. Leonardo's use of secrecy and symbolism hints that other Renaissance masters could have embedded similarly radical ideas within their own works. This possibility points toward a much larger reevaluation of cultural history. Museums, historians, and researchers may be confronting only the first example of a broader tradition of concealed meaning in Renaissance art. Technology such as AI and advanced imaging could reveal layers of interpretation previously invisible to scholars. Beyond art history, the messages themselves carry enduring philosophical weight. They emphasize the balance between faith and reason, warn against unquestioned authority, and encourage patient pursuit of truth. These themes remain strikingly relevant today. For modern audiences, the discovery is both an invitation and a challenge. It demands new research methods combining art history, imaging science, and machine learning while also encouraging caution and humility in interpreting evidence. Ultimately, Leonardo's hidden codes portray a mind far ahead of its time, using silence, symbolism, and art itself to communicate across centuries. Leonardo's Last Supper is more than a painting. It's a coded manifesto bridging art, math, and philosophy across centuries. This discovery rewrites history and reminds us how much more lies beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. If this story sparked your curiosity, please like and subscribe for more journeys into the hidden layers of history and human knowledge.